John Lusk here of Lusk Archery Adventures. Series testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing the Trifecta hybrid or mechanical. You may have seen the video earlier where I tested it in the fixed blade configuration, but now I'm going to be testing it in the mechanical or the hybrid blade configuration. So super eager to see how this head performs. I doubt it's going to do as good as the fixed blade because man, that was amazing, but it's definitely going to have a bigger cut. So let's zoom on in here and we'll go through some of the design features and specifications, and then we'll put it to the test using my protocol for 2023. And for a detailed description about that, please watch the video called 2023 Broadhead testing process. I think that's what it's called. Came out earlier this year. That'll really get you up to speed, and I don't have to explain everything every time. And for these tests, I'm using my Bowtech CP28 set at 72 pounds, using Bishop FOC King arrows for most of the shooting, but then I'm using the Bishop FAD eliminators for the really hard impact stuff. Okay, let's check out this Trifecta hybrid. Here's a good look at the Trifecta. Now it's called Trifecta because with one ferrule you can change out the blades and get 3 different heads. This one is a mechanical that has an opening diameter, cutting diameter of 1.65 inches fully opened. Then you can use different blades and get a cutting diameter of 1.87 inches, so just a bit over 0.2 of an inch greater in the fully open position. Or you can use that same ferrule and turn it into a fixed blade. And so I'm going to do a separate video test using this fixed blade. But it's kind of cool that there's 3 different heads that you can get using the same ferrule, just interchanging the blades. And they're coming out, these are all 100 grains, they're coming out with 125 grain in the fixed and in the mechanical, like hybrid head, and they're coming out with 150 grain in the fixed as well. So that's what they have on the horizon. Today I'm going to be testing the mechanicals, and this one, like I said, is the one that has a cutting diameter when it's in the open position of 1.65 inches in these mechanical blades, and then it has a cutting diameter of 3/8 of an inch right here, even in the closed position, in that leading cut-on contact tip. Now it's kind of cool because all of these blades, and this is in both of the hybrid heads here as well as in the fixed blade that I showed you earlier, they're all single bevel heads. This leading tip, which is again, it's the same, it's connected here to the ferrule, it's the same in all the heads, is 0.040 inches thick. So a nice thick classic single bevel, kind of easy to sharpen because it's just 2 edges there, broadhead. And so I like that cut-on contact single bevel tip that's going to get a bit of rotation going. And then you've got this gator style opening that, as there's pressure from the impact on the hide pressing these little wing butts there, the blades are fully deployed, and like I said, in their fully open position, in this head, you're getting a cutting diameter of 1.65 inches. So the total cut in this smallest version of their hybrids is 2.025 inches. That's a decent cut. And being single bevel, I imagine you're going to get a bit of rotation as well. Now the mechanical blades are 0.032 inches thick. And again, this fixed blade in the front, 0.040 inches thick. Everything is made out of steel. You got a steel ferrule, and you got the steel blades, and you got this steel tip. So it looks like a pretty cool design, and it's a pretty short overall profile. So I imagine you're going to get decent flight. I'm trying not to cut myself here. You're going to get decent flight. There's not a lot of surface area, not a lot going on. Now the blades don't lock open. It's just a classic gator style head in that regard. But as long as there's pressure, forward pressure from the impact, the penetration of the broadhead, the blades are going to stay fully open like that. I have found in some gator style heads, and typically that as they slow down within an animal, they kind of reach kind of a homeostasis where they're about like that, where the pressure kind of pushing here is equal to pressure kind of pushing back there, but you're still getting the 3/8 of an inch cut here, and even if it's just kind of halfway there, you're getting another inch cut here. Again, if it's fully open, you're getting 1.65 inches. So pretty cool design. I'm going to be comparing this one with the one that's a little bit bigger. It's just 2/10 of an inch bigger. And you think, well, what's the difference? Why even bother with it? Well, if you're going after a bigger animal or you have a lighter setup, then that lesser 2/10 of an inch is going to really help your penetration. You're going after a smaller animal, or you have an extra stronger setup, more powerful setup, then you get an extra 2 inches of cut and a much bigger hole. So it's kind of cool you can do that with the same broadhead. Or, like I was saying earlier, if you go, man, I don't want to use a mechanical, I want to use a fixed. Well, then you just change the blades and you have a really stout, cool looking single bevel 4-blade broadhead here. So really intriguing design, eager to put this head to the test and see how it performs. It took 200 grams to cut the wire, which equates to a 10 on a 10-point scale. It penetrated 8 inches. Here you can see the entrance hole of the Trifecta, and it opened to its full length. But then, as does often happen with gator-style heads, especially where the blades don't lock open, the blades remained open a portion of the way, but then they kind of reached this middle ground, and that's what they held throughout. So they're kind of like half opened throughout the entire penetration. It didn't lose any of its sharpness, so it got a 10 out of 10 on the edge retention. The 1.87 inch penetrated through 61 layers, and the 1.65 penetrated through 67 layers. It held up really well through the 3 shots of the MDF. The only damage that you can see is there's a little nick in each of the blades toward the top, toward the ferrule, and that's where when they spring open, they slap against the ferrule and create a little dent there. So here's the head after going through the MDF 3 times and then through the steel plate 1 time. Now on the good side, you can see the hole that it made in the steel plate. It cut a decent hole in the steel plate, and the ferrule and the leading blade held together very well, but you can see both of the blades came out, and the reason that happened was that pin that holds the blades in place sheared off. There's just so much force as with gator style heads as they spring open so fast on a hard impact, and both blades hit the steel plate at the same time, and that's just too much force on that pin. And it's a really common thing in a lot of mechanicals that have a pin to hold the blades in place like that. Now, probably wouldn't be an issue in animals because the blades don't open on a super hard surface right at the same time like that. However, that is what happened on the first shot through the steel plate. Now, one of the things I'm doing differently this year is, even with the head not making it through both shots of the steel plate, I'm still going to go ahead and shoot it because it's not dangerous. I'm going to go ahead and shoot it into the concrete and see what happens with that leading blade and the ferrule into the concrete. So here it is after impacting the concrete, and the blades had already come out in the steel plate, and the first shot in the steel plate, as you saw. But as you can see, the ferrule is a different story. It held together extremely well. Even this single bevel tip here did very well sticking into the concrete. So what'd you think? Hey, I tell you, it did pretty well. Didn't do quite as well as the fixed blade, but then And again, the fixed blade, that got the highest score of any fixed blade head that I've tested so far, which is saying a lot because I've tested some really great heads. So, you know, if you're expecting it to be as good as that, you'd be disappointed. But for a modular design where you can just switch out the fixed blades and put in these mechanical blades in two different cutting diameters, man, that's really nice. And then all steel construction. Wish that pin were a little bit stronger to be able to withstand that impact in the steel plate. But in an animal, I really don't think that's ever going to be an issue because both blades are not slapping forward at the same time on something as hard as steel. But it is noteworthy just the same. And, you know, the ferrule, super strong, flew great, penetrated well, great blades and great edge retention, so still a lot of great strengths to it. You check out the score sheet and see how it performed in the areas that matter to you the most and see if it might be a good fit for you. And remember, you can use my discount code LUSK10, LUSK10, anytime you order something from Trifecta, and you'll save 10% on any order, whether it's the mechanical or the fixed blades or replacement blades or whatever you buy like that. So hopefully that helps. But again, great job, Trifecta. Love the designs that you're coming out with and really look forward to some of the heavier weight models coming out in the future.